In this presentation, you will learn about Post Dumontian approaches to theorizing caste. In 1980s and 1990s, the anthropological study of caste went through reconsideration in response to transformation in case studies brought by the Dumont's Structuralist approach in 1960s and 1970s. Dumont's approach was criticized on three grounds. It hindered the comparative aim of sociology and anthropology. It made the reality of caste stand for India. It explicates caste as an idealistic and cultural construct without material consent, so much that it created a myth of a single hierarchy-based purity and pollution on the line which all the caste in India should be ostensibly arranged. We will discuss the work of Dumont critiques such as McKim Marriot, G. Raheja, Quigley, and Nicholas Dirks. Taking into account the limitation of Dumont's dualism, McKim Marriot envisioned the new ethno-sociological view of India. He emphasized on Indian society to be a unique system that necessitates conceptualizing various categories in the milieu of its own ethno-history and culture. McKim Marriot presented an interpretative understanding of caste based on coded bodily substance notion to examine the Hindu caste system, which was different from the Dumontian model. His approach is termed as ethno-sociological, transactional, interactional, and monistic, and based on substance codes. According to Marriott, caste was built on a number of concepts relating to bodily substances and interpersonal exchanges. He used interactional approach to study caste in Konduru village of Andhra Pradesh, where he discussed the matters such as who willingly accepts water, food, etc. from whom, which was also a symbol of relative status. Those who belong to the lower status readily accepted food from those who belong to the higher status and vice versa. The Brahmins were not receivers of any lower forms of substance code from lower status groups such as cooked food or wives, etc. They accepted substance code in a very specific form like piece of land as a gift, money, grain, and so on. The Brahmins hold highest rank due to their own divinity, exclusive exchanges, and through their gifts to other terrestrial men engaging in cosmic knowledge in the form of substance transformative ceremonies, advice, and teaching. There are certain groups like Rajput and their allies who follow maximizing strategy by trying to increase their symmetrical exchange by means of land control, distribution of food, and also maximizing strategies of descent, diet, etc. to gain greatest quality and potency in substance, action, and group substance code. While there were other groups that used the minimizing strategy to decrease the number of relationships in which to exchange cooked food were skilled artisans. For example, the Vaishya community who enjoyed productive power as they grew grains, reared cattle, and were traders. There were groups which were in the category of receiving rather than giving relationships. Those were the barbers and leather workers who accepted food as well as bodily substance codes directly from their patrons belonging to different castes. The most significant standpoint in these strategies is that it allows to know the local caste ranking. G. Raheja, in her study, The Poison in the Gift, Ritual Prestation and the Dominant Caste in a North Indian Village, Pahansu, Uttar Pradesh, challenged Dumont's concepts of hierarchy and purity of caste as a religious phenomenon and presented a new interpretation of caste. The village was Gujar, dominated by land-owning community, where 98% of the arable land was owned by them. According to Raheja, castes were interconnected to varying degrees based on the contexts. The hierarchical order was grounded on the principle of ritual purity. As a result, the Brahmin and the sweeper caste were placed at two extremes. This ordering relates to the traditional conception of caste rank. The relationships between various castes and Gujar dominance is formed by dhan prestations, which is established through Jajmani system. Jajmani system involves an ordering of mutuality in which the members belonging to service castes get a share of the harvest for their services rendered and loyalty to their patron caste, that is, the Gujars, who are also called as Jajman. Even though Jajmani system is asymmetrical and associated with power and economy, it does not define hierarchical order of castes. At the heart of the rituals in the village was the transfer of inauspiciousness. She argues that scholars, while studying caste, were only concerned about hierarchy and ranking and missed out on what actually caste is all about. For Raheja, though, the intercaste relationships seem to be hierarchical, but its main component is inauspiciousness. In fact, it is the duty of certain castes to take dhan or gifts and the linked inauspiciousness from the donors. In this context, the Brahmins, the Barbers and the Sweepers, for example, are all equal recipients of inauspiciousness and their rank vis-a-vis the donor is irrelevant. The Gujars feel proud of themselves because they give dhan and do not receive dhan. The special castes such as Brahmins and others give dhan only to their married daughters. Raheja asserts that earlier work of the scholars on Jajmani system has failed to distinguish between these two types of prestation. Raheja's rejection of Dumont brings her closer to the Horkhasian interpretation of caste system, which places primacy to the king. Raheja brings to the center the mutuality and centrality. By mutuality, she means inclusion of daughters and specialist caste who are referred as ours, and by centrality, she means exclusion, where the daughters and specialist castes are treated as recipients of dhan. Thus, according to Raheja, the Brahmins are not always considered having high rank and purity. In fact, they are regarded as dependent and polluted. One of the strongest critiques of Dumont has been Beteille, who advocated to take a much wider approach to understand Indian society. He stressed on the need to study kinship, class and power along with caste. For him, structural aspects of caste, such as economic and political, has remained untouched by the scholars, which is essential to understand the relationship between the upper caste and the lower caste, Jajman and the Kamin, etc. His work has contributed to the understanding of empirical reality of caste rather than cultural ideal type. Quigley, in Is a Theory of Caste Still Possible?, explains caste having two important elements, the kingship and the kinship. In his view, caste is arrangement of political structure where kingship and kinship are in opposite camps and the priests are the mediators. Thus, for Quigley, caste is an outcome of uneasy stalemate between the pull of localized lineage organization and the forces of political, ritual and economic centralization encapsulated in monarchical institutions. He is critical of both the idealist and materialistic theory of caste as it considers Brahmin as the highest caste. Many scholars are confused between the two concepts, Varna and Jati, therefore give supremacy to Brahmins in caste hierarchy. Quigley asserts that Brahmins are not homogeneous groups, they are divided into larger number of groups and contest each other's status. In line with Raheja, Quigley stresses that Brahmins act as a purohit to their judgeman and remove inauspiciousness, sin, and evil of their judgeman. Therefore, it is strange to believe that Brahmins are higher in rank than their patron. In Quigley's opinion, caste is undeniably a result of the organization of rituals and other services centered around the king and dominant lineage. Hence, monarchy and not the priesthood was the central institution, unlike the view of Dumont, which gave primacy to priesthood. Dirks refuted the subordination of kingly power to Brahminical ritual, which in Dumont's view was a unique feature of Hindu civilization. This, in Dirks' view, was in fact the creation of colonial power, which reduced the indigenous king to merely a symbolic and of inferior status. The British redefined caste conceptually and administratively with numerous local logics, mercantile, agrarian, etc., and religious. Caste, which was earlier political, was brought under one single umbrella, apolitical, especially Hindu and pan-Indian social order. Dirk thus challenged Dumont's theorization of caste by exhibiting that neither the Brahmins nor the religious ideology, but it was the kings or colonial institution and the power which they enjoyed that played an important role in structuring the principles of caste relations. He stressed that it was British colonialism, along with the reforms introduced by it, that turned Indian kinship institution into a hollow crown, depriving it of its earlier glory and powers. He termed caste as an explicitly colonial form of civil society. For better theoretical understanding of caste, it is essential to review the work of various scholars. Ambedkar provided a multi-layered counter-hegemonic view of caste. He was a crusader who fought for the rights of the downtrodden, a leader of national eminence whose contribution in the making of the Indian Constitution will always be cherished. His most important work includes Caste in India and Annihilation of Caste. He was an anti-caste who believed that varna of a person should be based on one's merit, not on birth. His social philosophy was based on liberty, equality, and fraternity. Dumont, on the other hand, stressed on hierarchy, religious, not political, among the concepts of purity and pollution. The most illuminating criticisms of Dumont's approach to theorizing caste came from the ethnographers studying the untouchables or Dalits and the historians who were studying the transformation of Indian society under the colonial rule. I hope you now have a better understanding of Post Dumontian approach. Thank you for watching the presentation.